Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
Chad Franson here, co-host for this show where we feature top restaurateurs, investors, and business leaders. This is part of our Spot On series. Spot On has the best-in-class payment platform for retail, and they have a flagship solution called Spot On Restaurant, where they combine marketing, software, and payments all in one. They have served everyone from larger chains like Dairy Queen and Subway to small mom and pop restaurants. To learn more, go to spoton.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. We help B2B businesses to get ROI, clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships through Done For You podcasts. If you have a B2B business and want to build great relationships with clients, referral partners, and thought leaders in your space, there's no better way to do it than through podcasts and content marketing. To learn more, go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. Randy Wyner is the founder of Chronic Tacos, a Southern California chain of fast casual Mexican food restaurants. Born and raised in Orange County, Randy draws his inspiration from the distinct Californian food culture. He grew up on authentic Mexican and signature SoCal taquerias, and it was his belief that the tastiest taquerias tended to be small family-owned shops that led him to open his first taco shop using third-generation family recipes he acquired from a close family friend. When Randy was struck with the idea of made-to-order Mexican food that was both fast and fresh, Chronic Tacos was born. Michael Mohammed is the chief executive officer and president at Chronic Tacos Enterprises, where he oversees the strategic vision of the fast casual Mexican restaurant brand. Michael and his three brothers first became affiliated with Chronic Tacos in 2010 when they helped finance the chain's expansion into Canada. After seeing the potential that the brand had for growth, they decided to take over the entire franchise in 2012 and haven't looked back ever since. Michael is involved with every aspect of its vision, brand, and strategy. Hey, Randy and Michael, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, great to have you. Hey, so Randy, tell me a little bit more about how and when Chronic Tacos came about. I know it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20. Okay, hold on. Let me think about it. Okay, I remember now. 20 years ago, I was living in Newport Beach, and there was no really good, like, authentic taqueria. There was no, not even a mom and pops really. It was about a mile away. So I would ride my bike over to this, the most authentic Mexican vibe over there. And I remember the tortillas weren't that great. And I remember saying to the guy, man, we need to get some better tortillas. And he got really mad at me. So I said, one day I'm going to open up my own taco shop. And this little spot was available. It came available right across the street from my house. And it was 800 square feet, never been in the restaurant business. And I said, we got to grab this and we're going to call it Chronic Tacos. I called up the Bonillas. I got recipes from the family. And, we brought Chronic Tacos, the first Chronic Tacos to Newport Beach. 20 years ago, we opened July 2nd of 2002.
Wow, that's amazing.
There was a real need for it. And people were like, why, Chronic, and we wanted to be different and do something different outside the box. And people were like, oh, what are these gringos, going to be making tacos? But they didn't know that the Bonillas were third generation recipes from Mexico. So these gringos had some good recipes. And, when we opened, it was funny. People, we weren't crazy busy at first. It was just kind of opened up and people were coming in and, the word started spreading, a word of mouth. And then we got written up. Back then there was newspapers, and we got written up in a newspaper. And the next day we had lines wrapped around the building. We had old folks, young folks. Like we always say, they say, like, what's your demographic? I'm all 2 to 80. And it was a whole nother generation came in when they read this newspaper ad. And it really took off after that. Things, people were driving from Riverside, from LA to Orange County for Chronic Tacos. And that's when I was like, wow, we should start maybe opening a couple more of these. And then we get into opening up more locations. But, the first one, there was a real need in that little area for a good, authentic, taco shop. And we kind of went off the kind of surf vibe, music playing and real casual. Come in, make it how you like it. I'm a real picky eater, so I want to make it how I like it. And I always hate it when restaurants wouldn't let me change stuff. So that was a real big thing for us was, your style, your way.
That's a great story. So you had, I was going to ask you, if you had prior restaurant experience, you didn't. What had you been doing up until that point, and what kind of gave you the confidence that you could just take up the restaurant industry this way?
Yeah, so I had heavy restaurant experience. I was a host at Marie Callender's when I was 17. So no restaurant experience. I was a host for a few months, and I was a waiter at Marie Callender's for a little bit part-time. So I had zero restaurant experience. What I was doing at the time, we owned a company called Chronic Industries, and we were a licensee for Disney and for Mattel. And I did all their hats. I was in the clothing business. So we had a factory and we would do boutique hats for Disney and Mattel. And I was a licensee for many, many years. And we did screen printing for big brands, Rip Curl, Volcom, a lot of surf brands, and a lot of their screen printing for their marketing and stuff. So was in the clothing business before the tacos.
Okay. And was that an entrepreneurial experience, or was that just you were an employee?
Entrepreneurial. I opened it, started it, sold t-shirts out of the trunk of my car when I was 19 years old.
Oh, nice. So you were kind of an entrepreneur already.
Yeah. My first company I ever had was I started a company called R&R Valet for Nordstrom's. And I was about 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. And that was my first company. So yes, always been entrepreneurial.
So you guys started out with a bang. Chronic Tacos really took off. Tell me a little bit about how it evolved from there, maybe the next few years.
Yeah. So 2 years later, we were getting a lot of calls. People wanted to open up more or wanted to like buy a taco shop. And, at that time I knew really nothing about franchising. I knew the licensing world, but franchising is a lot different. So, I said, let's open up a second store and see how it takes off. Cause I think that's the big challenge is, can you replicate this? Restaurants is a really hard business. And if you can replicate it, then maybe we can have something here. So we opened up I thought the best thing would be opening up in the city next to us, because a lot of people from Huntington Beach were coming over to Newport to get tacos. So we opened up a spot in Huntington Beach 2 years later. And it wasn't on like Main Street. It was a very non-traditional building and smack in a neighborhood, there was a liquor store across the street, but very residential area. And we took a stab at it and opened that store up, and it had a line wrapped around the building the day we opened. It was crazy. And that store has been there, 18 years now. And it's a great spot, good store. We really gained a lot of the residential, people over there loved it because they could walk to us and not have to go over to Main Street. But that was it. And then after that one opened, we opened up one more in Corona Del Mar, and it did really well. And that's when we were getting tons of calls about opening and expanding. And I said, let's look into franchising this. And back then I'm like, I want this to be worldwide. I want someone, back then Chronic was like, oh gosh, it was like, what is Chronic? And I'm like, one day it's going to be, I'll be at the dinner table and it'll be a family or a family will be at dinner table and they'll say, oh, I want to go get Chronic tacos. And that was my dream back at 20 plus years ago, was one day it'll be a household name, Chronic tacos. The whole family will go and eat them and we'll be worldwide. And now we're there.
So I read that you and Michael met around 2010. What was kind of your status around that time, Randy? And then, and this also kind of where Chronic Tacos was around that time.
Yeah. So we were expanding, and I met Mike in Canada. He was financing our franchisee up there, and I asked I wanted to meet, the Mohammeds, and so we met at the Chronic Tacos in Canada on Broadway. And Mike came in, trench coats, all like, I was like, these guys are rad, it was pretty sweet, and we hit it off right away. And so we talked about like doing other taco shops together and other things. And then, Mike always said, hey, my brothers and I would always be interested in like the big picture, not just opening up one or two taco shops, but really going into the corporate side of it and taking this to the next level. And I'm like, cool. Yeah. Okay. And a few months later, an opportunity came up where, I wanted to, bring in the Mohammeds and expand and go big. And I called Mike on I don't know, maybe a Friday or a Saturday. And I said, hey, Mike, and I was up in Canada all the time doing, opening up stores. We were just we opened up one. And I think we were about to open up a second one. And I called him. I'm like, hey, I'm in Canada. I got an opportunity. We got to talk about it right away. He's like, I could be at my office tomorrow. So we met on a Sunday, right? A Sunday in Mike's in the Mohammed's Vancouver office. And we sat and kind of I told him, hey, there could be an opportunity here. I think we should, move on this. And Mike's like, I'm interested. And I think he was on a plane to California probably within a week.
Yeah. Within a week.
And then Mike started doing his due diligence to come in and partner up and take the company to the next level.
Very nice.
And that's how, and then the whole process of the buying Chronic and the due diligence, we became best friends. I mean, we were together from morning to night, going through everything, the bad, the ugly, the good, and it was a learning and fun experience for me. And I'm blessed to have them in my life and to have them here with us at Chronic Tacos, because it's been amazing.
That's awesome. So Mike, you've been there for, a decade now or more. What made this an attractive opportunity for you at that time?
I really like the brand. So when we first tried the food, we got introduced to the brand. You just feel right away there's something unique about the brand. And then when I met Randy, I could see that there is that personality behind the brand, and there was a unique creation of the brand and a great opportunity. But like any business, there's always areas that can be improved. And we felt that it was more on the strategic side to grow. You needed to make it scalable. There wasn't a lot of infrastructure behind. There wasn't, Randy would go out and train guys, and everything was in his head. And we needed to kind of unload that, unpack that, so that we could grow it and be more strategic about our marketing and our branding. There was a lot of potential there, and really believed in that. And like you said, we spent probably 3 or 4 months putting the deal together. As these deals go, there's ups and downs. It almost doesn't close. You're almost, had enough, not going to move forward. But, we really had to push hard. It was, 7 days a week, really grinding it out, because we wanted to come in, when we came in, ready to go out of the gates. So we had, while we were working the deal, we were also kind of setting ourselves up and what we needed to do in the future.
Sure. So what was your first order of business?
First order of business was to, what we decided was that, at the time, I think we were at about 25, 26 taco shops. And we decided to just pull back from franchising. We just felt that, look, we've got to get more defined on our build outs, more strategic on where we want to be, line up our distribution, build out our training manuals, build out our operation manuals, refine the branding. So there was a lot of work we wanted to do. We built, several restaurants on the corporate side just to test different things and really, get that dialed in. So we probably spent 2 years doing that. And then when we were ready, we felt we had it, then we started changing our focus to franchising.
Mm-hmm. So this is a question for either one of you. What would you say are maybe some of the primary ways that Chronic Tacos has evolved or changed since Mike came on board?
I think that anytime that you're making changes too, you can almost overshoot sometimes. So when we came in, we brought a lot of corporate culture into the company, and in some ways, I think initially we almost overshot that. And you need to say, okay, well, you're trying to satisfy everybody, and you need to sometimes pull that back and say, like, well, this is who we are, and this is what makes us successful. So we've kind of gone through that phase of that where it's, rooting back to this is what makes us successful, but we need the tools to implement that. And
Sure.
so I think really where we are from then to now is that we've really implemented the tools, and really gotten more strategic about it, which I think is important. But we also have refocused on like who we are as a brand.
You guys, you mentioned you brought kind of more of a corporate culture. My first impression of you guys is that you have kind of different personalities. Like Mike, you seem more like maybe more like what somebody might perceive as a corporate type, and Randy seems more like I'm just going to try what I can do whatever I want. I'm just going to try whatever I want. Would you say that that's accurate and that makes kind of a good fit?
Yeah, I think there's some accuracy in that for sure. We balance each other out for sure. And, I think that dynamic is good. And look, he's brought me more towards, that his lifestyle, I brought him more towards mine. I think that there's a good balance there. I'm no longer having to wear the suit and tie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I got him out of the suit and tie.
I got Randy to put his phone down when we're in meetings.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's balance. You need it. We actually talk about it quite a bit because it's like we're in a marriage.
We've been good friends. We're not, for us, we can have a heated debate over something, and a debate that could make anybody in the room uncomfortable, but for us, it's not. It's, you walk away after. We know where each other's coming from, and both sides are coming from what we think is best for the business. And I think only good ideas only can come out of good debate.
Yeah.
For somebody who's never been to Chronic Tacos, how would you describe it from a vibe standpoint? And you can include the food as part of that vibe, but from like a vibe standpoint.
I would say, it's good food, fresh food, music's going, make it how you like it. It's the way you want it. And that's kind of like my thing.
Yeah. I always go back to like what Randy would tell me when he was working in the taco shops. And it was, he wanted, when he had a customer that came in that seemed like they were in a bad mood or wasn't having a great day, his goal was to make that person leave there in a better mood. And the food's going to deliver. We want a fun atmosphere. You want music that reflects the brand. And, we've got art on the walls, a lot of original work we do with local artists. But at the end of the day, it's that personality too, and engaging. I mean, that person, you don't know what they're walking in with. And if you can just, make their day that much better, I think that enhances everything.
Yeah. I remember I would be like, someone would be grumpy. And I would be like, I got this to our employees. And I would walk the line with them. And then at the end, I would be like, I'm buying your burrito today. I hope that helps you out. I hope that makes your day brighter. And they're just like instantly, what?
Nice.
Who's this guy buying me a burrito? Or it's trippy, like what that can do to somebody. Changes their day. Just a burrito.
Absolutely. So I was counting your locations. You have more than 30 in the US. You have multiple locations in Canada and in Japan. Is there a key to maintaining kind of a consistency of that experience now that it's worldwide?
Yeah, I think it's really, for us, we've always been really hands-on with the franchisees, getting into the stores, understanding the community that they're in so that we can replicate, what's made us successful in other areas. And obviously COVID was a challenge for that. And I think that really, carried on for a couple of years where it limited our ability to get into the stores. And, we had to adapt to that, obviously. But I think really what makes us successful is we have our culture as a brand, and you can't just write that down in an email and send it to somebody and hope that they understand that and reflect that in their store. You have to be in there. So we make an effort to get out to the stores quite a bit. We just wrapped up our 20-year anniversary tour where we toured around, to all the stores. It was myself and Randy and Wyner. And it was great. We were on a road trip, planes, trains, and automobiles, like everywhere we went. We got to have a party at the restaurant. People did meet and greets with Wyner. And then I think most importantly, the franchisee got a feel for the personality of the brand, a reminder of what we're about. And we're also able to get out and take the franchisee out for dinner and really understand what's going on in their community. And it was, it's refreshing for us. It reinvigorates that passion for the brand, for the franchisee, because look, the last couple of years have been really stressful for anybody in the restaurant business. Not just, you've got COVID, then you've got to deal with inflation, then you've got to deal with lack of employees. They're dealing with a lot. And at the end of the day, we want to remind them that also you want to have fun, right? We work hard, play hard. That's always been, our motto. And it was great to get out and meet with the franchisees and really spend that kind of quality time with them.
So is the vibe, Alabama, I think you guys have a location in Alabama. Alabama has a different culture than California, and Japan has a different culture than the US. Is the vibe consistent worldwide, or is there some alterations as a result of the culture in that location?
I think there's always going to be some alterations based on the culture, but I guess the main the main vibe is always going to be reflected in who we are. I mean, we are a California inspired company, and I think like when you look at Japan, they really embrace that. That's something they want to reflect that, and they want to emulate that, and they want the people that come to work, I mean, they're having fun, they get to kind of take on that persona, and I think that's key. But it's comes down to the food, the consistency, that obviously we always feel our food is a differentiator in the recipes and the freshness, and it's just not your run-of-the-mill Mexican food. And so I think that's always pretty consistent.
How did you mentioned kind of surviving the COVID pandemic? Did Chronic Tacos change or evolve significantly as a result of that experience?
I think we all changed, but it's of course we've had to make changes. We've had to evolve. I think technology's changed a lot. I think that actually sped up technology in the restaurant industry, and you have to adapt to whether it's how you communicate and train, how customers are placing their orders, expectations. So I think that definitely has that impact changed us as we go forward. And I also think that we learned a lot about our efficiencies, and when you have to, it's already an industry where you've really got to manage your costs close, and I think we've learned even more through COVID.
I saw that you have a new cell phone app. Why is that important?
Well, I think that again, as technology evolves, having that app, being able to engage, making it easy for our customers to place orders, have loyalty. A big part of it is just having that loyalty piece for it. But also, you can pay for pre-order. You can pay for your meal at the counter. So all those things kind of changed through COVID. There was obviously a big swing in the beginning, and then it's somewhat normalized. But so a lot of that has carried over. So I think you have to implement a lot of technology, but for us, we also really don't want to forget, what it's about, which is that customer service, that and that quality food.
You mentioned when you first came on board, you kind of took a step back from franchising. Have you moved back toward trying to expand through franchising?
Yeah, and even when we went through COVID, I wouldn't say we took a step back, but our focus was not on growing so much as making sure that the restaurants that were in our company, that they succeeded. And so this year and towards the end of last year, yeah, we're back in the mode of getting into franchising. And we've learned plenty of lessons, good and bad, through franchising, mistakes you've made, wrong choices. So I think that's positioned us better to be, I would say, more selective in terms of how we choose our franchisees, because we've seen what happens in the worst of times, who survived, who didn't. So
yeah, what do you look for in a potential franchisee?
most important really to us right out of the gates is, are they a fit for the brand? Do they get the brand? Because if they don't, they're never going to reflect that in their store. You're always going to have the franchisee's personality in that culture, and we want them to mesh. So the only way that our culture is going to work its way down is if the franchisee shares that same passion. And there's many personalities that are going to differ, but as long as they understand that part, that's first and foremost. And then a business acumen is really important as well. We always say, we can train the restaurant side, but we want you to understand how to run a business, and that's not just your P&Ls, it's how to deal with people, and that's super important if you're going to succeed.
From a franchisee standpoint, what do you think makes Chronic Tacos a good opportunity?
Well, I think we are, we're in that white space of where there's opportunity to grow, and it's opportunity to grow with a brand that has a proven track record. We've been around for 20 years. It's, if you understand our culture, and that culture is kind of a reflection of yourself, it's a great opportunity to be a part of a group where we're very hands-on, we're very involved, we know everybody, and I think that it's a great opportunity to not only just open one restaurant, but to be able to take over an area and really build up that way. So we've established a brand, we've been around for 20 years, we've got great tools, we've got great support. And for somebody opening a franchisee, what's great is that there's territories available. Everything's already set up for you.
I have one more question for you guys, but first, just tell me how people can find out more about Chronic Tacos from both a customer standpoint and maybe even a franchisee standpoint.
Well, our website is chronictacos.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Chronic Tacos, and then from the website you can download our app, or our app's available in the App Store.
Okay, great. Hey, when each of you go to Chronic Tacos as customers, what is your go-to item of choice?
Mine,
You want me to go first because I have one.
You
probably you'll have a few.
Yeah. Go for it.
For me, it's the Al Pastor, and I get a bowl with our Spanish rice, refried beans, and our verde. I keep it very simple, but to me, that's, I think for me, you can overdo it with too many toppings. So I like the fact that I can just, I get the most flavor out of that. And the Al Pastor is a unique item that we have.
Okay, sounds great. What about you, Randy?
I go carnitas, and then I do our breaded fish, mahi Baja style. And then I switch it up with carne asada or El Pastor, either one of those. And then actually today I had a chicken taco, which was pretty good. So I switched up all the meats.
Well, you're the founder. I mean, you're the one who decided there was no good tacos around. What makes those particularly good out of the ones that you already offer anyway to you?
Well, to me, it's just I like it a certain way, and I love how we do our meats. I love how we marinate them. I love our seasonings in the meats. The carnitas we cook for like 3.5 hours. It's the best carnitas I've had, and our beer batter, it's made with like Tecate beer. It's so good. That's how it is for me. It's the meats.
I mean, we have a lot of unique items that we do a surf and turf burrito, which is sauteed shrimp with our carne asada, and we do a California burrito, which is French fries, our carne asada with French fries instead of rice and beans with guacamole. And then we also do a chronic fries, which is essentially just nachos, but with fries. So there's some cool items that people really come in for.
Okay, sounds fantastic. Hey, Mike and Randy, it's been great to talk to you both today. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.